is that I love you.
This is the Filmcast you are watching or listening to, and it's our review of Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All. I'm going to read the plot summary from IMDb. Marin, a young woman, learns how to survive on the margins of society, end quote. Pretty vague.
Doesn't really do it.
Pretty vague.
I don't
Pretty
think that
vague
really
plot
conveys
summary.
it.
Missing out a lot there. Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. Okay. Devindra Hardwar, you are a big fan of Mr. Guadagnino's work.
I love Mr. Guadagnino. Yes.
Suspiria, Call Me By Your Name. These were like some of your
I Am
favorite
Love.
movies.
You know?
Yeah. So here's my question. Did Bones and All live up to your fandom, support, and love of Mr. Lucas films?
I think so. Like, you go into a Luca Guadagnino movie and you know he's going to be doing something interesting. And I think with Call Me By Your Name, and I Am Love is like much older. It's like a 2009 film. But I've always loved his sense of style and the way he's dealt with characters. Most recently, he's been exploring coming of age stories, you know, young love in many different ways, or, you know, young people fitting themselves into society. I think his Suspiria remake is better than the original. I think that's a tremendous movie. So yeah, I think this one really lived up to my expectations, because it is, he's never like trying to please everybody. It's a very unique sort of film because it's about cannibals. It's a cannibal love story. And it also stars like Timothée Chalamet, the boy who everybody loves right now. And it goes harder on the like horror elements, you know, and the gore elements at times, while also telling, I think, a really interesting story. I think Taylor Russell, who stars in this movie as Marin, is really incredible as a young girl who's trying to find her place in society, basically an outcast, and just trying to find some connection to her past or something. And she meets this guy, and they sort of form a bond because they are of a type. And I think this movie is just doing really interesting things. Like, how would a society of cannibals kind of have to exist in the real world? And how do these kids survive together? I think that's all pretty fascinating. They run into people that I think take this like I don't know, curse or ability in different ways. And I think they're all really fascinating too. Like, there's some really fun they're really fun people who pop up here that you would not expect, and we can maybe save some of those for spoilers. But I kind of love everywhere this movie goes. Maybe as a love story, it's not as grand as maybe the trailers and some things are trying to make it out to be, but I also don't think it really needs to be. I think it's first and foremost a story about a young girl trying to find her place in the world when she is quite literally an outcast and she has to eat people, and how that affects her, I think, is all truly fascinating. So yeah, love Luca Guadagnino. I think this movie rules.
Jeff Kanata, I am so curious what you think about Bones and All.
Well, Dave, I guess you could say what I think about Bones and All is best summed up in the form of a goofy-ass poem. Observing these strange appetites, for me, offered few delights. So much anguish and gore, but I'd heard it before, back when Def Leppard sang Love Bites.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say reference. I'd heard it all before when I saw Robin Hood Men in Tights. But...
or Twilight. Or something. Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched that movie recently, Dave. I don't think it really is very similar.
Really? I remember a lot of cannibalism. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
You guys see cannibalism, but this movie certainly seems to indicate it's more than just cannibalism. It feels like it is some sort of supernatural occurrence that is innate, that is not.
Well, it's a monstrous thing that makes them eat people. So
or they're like mutants of some kind, right?
Or like, that's my feeling was it's more closer to becoming a vampire or a werewolf.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's just not. You know, they're eaters.
Cannibal monsters.
Yeah. Perhaps my limerick was a little more negative than I feel about this movie. I did not particularly enjoy seeing this, and
I know this is not your cup of tea.
It's not.
I was really interested to hear what you think.
Thanks for being game to watch.
It's not my bowl of entrails. You know what I'm saying?
Chili. Yeah.
It's not your bag of human hair, Locke.
Now, let's be honest. I do have a bag of human hair. It's just not this one.
Separate.
This is not my bag of human hair. I think this movie is very compelling, and it is beautifully shot and executed. It is repugnant on many levels, intentionally so, and it is gruesome. And in that way, I found it. It as Devindra said, it leans into its horrors, and its horrors are not limited to merely the cannibalism. The horrors are among interpersonal relationships that crop up in the movie as well. And it is a compelling, very watchable, very intense experience. It is a movie that I think is well made, and I liked moments of it. I think there are moments of exquisite beauty in it as well. And as a love story, it is a love story. As a love story, it's a love story. I just felt like, for me, the over and above just sort of the repugnant tone that I found off-putting at times, I think this movie is most interesting in its side characters. I think the two leads are the least interesting people in the movie, for me. There are some really fascinating. This movie is very much a road movie.
I love everybody who pops up. Yeah,
it's very much a road movie. We get like the abbreviations of states whenever we go into a new state, that pop up very prominently on the screen. And it very much is this road film where we're seeing new things, we're having adventures, we're going from state to state, seeing new things. And every time we got to find a new pocket of weirdos, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But we were with them very briefly.
Yeah.
We're moving on, I wish that the central characters they felt to me like the blandest version of, other than the fact of their supernatural needs, their sort of love story did not feel particularly special to me. What did feel special was their adventures, and I felt like the movie wasn't as interested in their adventures as I was. That their adventures were a backdrop upon which to play their love story, and for me, the love story was the least interesting part.
I felt like the love story was treated as secondary to everything else, to be honest.
Interesting.
So it felt like I could have used maybe a little more, because are they actually in love? Is this like a sweep you off your feet kind of thing? Or are they just like, well, I'm really weird and you're
Right.
really weird and you're the only other weirdo I've ever seen, and I guess we're like age compatible, so let's drift together or
Right.
something, It
Yeah.
feels very convenient. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I agree with Jeff that I think the movie is trying to make this romance between them out to be like an epic one.
Yes, a grand love affair.
a grand love affair. I do think that's what it's trying for. And I don't know that it fully achieves that. But I don't think it's any fault of the performers, in my opinion.
No, I'm
Like,
not
I
saying
think it's-
that.
Yeah, I think it's
honestly, you're right. Taylor Russell is quite good.
She is phenomenal.
I'd not seen her before. Is she in things that I've seen?
She was in
I didn't recognize her.
there's that movie that came out recently, several years ago. Waves. She was in Waves, and she was in the
she was
Netflix-
awesome. She was awesome in Waves.
She was in Lost in Space too.
Lost in
the
Space,
Netflix
the
one.
TV series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not watch
I will
that.
say the other thing is that teenage love always feels like that, right? Like your first girlfriend, your first boyfriend, like that. I'm going to be in love with this person for the rest of my life. And I think it does maybe also capture the banality of that too. It's like, yeah, you just met this person. You're not in love forever. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe something more textured around the love story would have been good.
I will say one of my. Sorry, I'll let you speak in just 1 second.
Please.
I will say we'll leave it for spoiler talk, but I will say one of my favorite actors on the planet is in this movie and is awesome. And every
So
second he's
good.
on the screen is so interesting and cool, and I loved him.
So this is my favorite one of Luca Guadagnino's movies that I've seen. I think it is probably one of his most accessible ones.
It is directly trolling all the Timothée Chalamet fans. Like I do feel like there are probably trailers cut to this which kind of leave out the gore and stuff. And it's like, oh, it's beautiful. The poster makes a heart. This could be a wonderful love story, everybody.
Overall, I like this movie. Like I did enjoy it. Like I said, I think it's my favorite one of his movies. I don't think I've seen 3 of his movies at this point, and I just don't know that like this guy is kind of operating in a vibe that's super for me. Like he makes movies that I think function really well off of vibes. Call Me
Yes.
by Your Name and Suspiria both have strong vibes, but I
Yeah.
didn't love like the stories or storytelling within those films, and that's less true here, which I think has like a pretty good story, and obviously has like a really compelling hook. The things I like most about this movie are the world building. There's a handful of sequences that are just like, really, wow, that's a really well done sequence
Yep.
or shot. Like that's a really well, like if this is a horror movie, that would be like a well done sequence, you know?
I think it is a horror movie.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And so there's a bunch to like about this movie, and I don't know that I thought it was like a super great grand romantic affair, but it's like a nice, sweet, earnest
Yeah.
love story between these two characters. You know, at the
Two
very
lost
least,
souls who find
Yeah.
each other, and I
Right.
think that means something, even if it's not like Romeo and Juliet, I guess.
The stuff that's most interesting to me about the movie is some of those world building elements, right? Specifically, if you have a biological drive within you, that like by satisfying it hurts other people, you know, like or destroys other people or is against the law or whatever, like what does that say about you? Or does it make it okay for you to then satisfy that urge? Or are you still morally culpable? You know? Because
You
I don't
didn't
see
choose this, but you're
right.
still acting
I don't
for it.
see a lot of people struggling in this movie with like, oh, like you know, there's a little bit. It's not that there's none. There's a little bit of like, oh, it's so wrong to
I
blah
mean,
blah
I
blah.
think Taylor Russell's character, I think
Oh,
the
for
girl
sure,
is always
her the
struggling with it.
most, but like very few other people, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, and we'll talk about that more in spoilers. But it's just like
Mhm.
it's there's not like they're not like anguished. You know, like if I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put this out there. If I had to murder someone to eat them, I would probably feel bad about it for like at least like 10 years. Okay.
Well,
I'm
it's
just gonna say. I'm just gonna put
Well,
like for
but
me.
in that 10 years, Dave, you'd be having eaten so many other people by that point.
yeah,
Mhm.
it kind of goes out, but also it kind of describes like a natural urge to like it is how you are built to be in a way
Right.
too. Like, is your moral compass maybe a little different? What they do in this movie too is like I think they kind of like always make sure it's like, is this person an asshole? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
are they?
Right.
Yeah,
would
no,
we
that's
be
true.
Better
They're trying
off
to-
without
well, but
them.
They're
Yeah.
like the Dexter of cannibals for assholes,
Well,
basically.
Hannibal's thing was eat the rude, right?
Yeah,
Like that was
yeah.
a constant phrase for him. Yeah.
Jeff,
it
go
does
ahead.
it does feel like a metaphor for
Right.
all kinds of different things that people are born with and have the urge to do that society has said no.
Can I
Right.
throw one out to you? What about
Go
the
ahead.
urge to eat meat?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard that the author of the original book, like this is a veganism allegory, guys. Like this is we
Gotta
we were
kill
just
stuff
talking
to
about
eat it.
Jonas. You got to kill
Yeah.
stuff to eat it, and we rarely think about the suffering of
Yeah.
the meat that we eat.
Yeah. Jeff, were you gonna? Sorry, did you have a end to that point you were making?
No,
or-
I mean,
Yeah.
I do think that that is something we should explicitly say, that I think it's very much contextual, or excuse me, textual in the film, that this is a stand-in for all sorts of things.
Yeah,
that
drug addiction,
yes,
like
Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet's
homosexuality,
character,
all the things
yeah,
that
yeah.
society has stigmatized and
Mhm.
that people struggle with internally and say, oh, I'm wrong for feeling this way.
Yeah.
So, I think the movie is very compelling on that level.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. And like, what would the norms around
Right.
those people be, and kind of like all that stuff I thought was pretty interesting and well done. So overall, I did like the movie. Didn't love it, but I was just like, yeah, this is pretty well done. And there's a few more things that I want to talk about that I really liked in the
Yeah.
spoilers. So
When this
shall we-
movie goes hard, it is
Yeah.
surprising, and I love
Yeah.
those moments.
It does go hard.
All right. Well, let's get to spoilers for Bones and All starting right now. You know, guys, this week I watched a Luca Guadagnino movie in which Michael Stuhlbarg gives a long speech to Timothée Chalamet about self-actualization.
Uh-huh.
But enough about Call Me by Your Name.
He is so good in that scene. That scene is just so creepy.
We got to see Michael Stuhlbarg in overalls, and
Yeah.
Dude, Stuhlbarg playing against type is kind of my favorite thing.
yes,
Like,
and,
It's so good.
and so therefore the movie was completely worth everyone's time.
And
I mean,
the whole tension
no
of that scene too is just like, oh, it's like when you're camping and somebody pulls up next to you, you're like, should we trust these people? Like, there is a great level of tension throughout this entire movie, but specifically that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reveals that
I love the idea that that guy is like a lackey, and
that guy's a lackey.
He's like, you don't have to do this. Like,
so fucked up.
He's a familiar man.
Yeah, he's a familiar.
And he's a cop, and it's so wrong. And how like disgusted that she is that he would do it if he didn't have to. You know, it's amazing.
It's a great moment. It's a great moment.
And by that point in the movie, which is still fairly early on, I still wasn't sure how supernatural we were getting. So when they pull away in the pickup truck, I expected Stuhlbarg to like super speed after them,
I don't. So that's why I'm not saying supernatural, because they don't have powers. They don't have capabilities. They have
they have the ability to like
appetite.
they have the ability to like sniff each other.
Yeah, they can sniff
like,
each other.
To me, it's not supernatural. It's just like they have like a genetic mutation.
No way, dude. If you can smell someone blocks away, it's
wolves
supernatural.
can smell, like animals can smell each other. Like it's an animal instinct type thing.
It's not supernatural. Man.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having the ability of an animal is super as a human being is supernatural.
Okay, here's a question: are like X-Men supernatural in your opinion? Do you know?
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, we just have different definitions of supernatural. Then, you know, like
What
supernatural.
do you
is
consider
like,
an X-Men?
Supernatural means like spooky shit.
Yeah, like supernatural, like ghostly, like the meta realm.
No,
it's not
supernatural
like,
means beyond the natural,
Beyond the natural,
above the natural,
You're right.
not contained in the natural form.
But again, that's
okay.
I don't think this movie beyond that. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
There's not much supernaturalness other than the.
No, you're right. But I'm saying at that point in the movie, I did not know it. I was like, are we going to have a sequence where he leaps onto the hood of the car and we're like in full on?
I was more stuck in that conversation. They were like, so bones and all. That's what bones and all means. And how does that work?
Yeah, that's
like do they just
everything
bite it down?
just the intestines, the growth, like everything.
Do you like take the feces out of the intestines?
Do you squeeze it out? I mean, it's you can actually eat, like, pig intestines is a very big thing. Like you can eat lots of different places.
Eat it all the time.
Have them all the time. Yeah,
no joke.
So yeah, maybe you can make it work. But just I was still sitting with that concept. But I do love their getaway. It's just like, we're gonna roll the car very quietly, and then Michael Stuhlbarg just comes running. Amazing. Yeah,
I like how they're both on the same page. It's like, we got to get away from these fucking guys.
Hey, we're weird. These guys, very weird. Too weird. Yeah.
I knew this movie featured cannibalism in some way, but I was still stunned by the opening sequence.
The opening pre-title sequence is just like,
the whole
finger
opening, the finger stuff, but also like she and her dad get to their house, and it's like this kind of trailer. It's kind of this like mobile, like it's like a temporary home, and you're like, like what's going on here? Because like all the other houses,
he's sleeping on the couch, she's in the room, and he locks her in.
He locks her in. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then she goes to her house, and it's like, oh, this is a nice little slumber party. And then she bites her friend's finger off,
and the skin just peels off the bone, like a great effect.
And then he's like, okay, we gotta start a new life again. It's like,
and also her whole thing of like, she's 18 now, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. And I kind of felt that both as a parent of like, clearly he spent her childhood and her early life like trying to deal with this when the mother didn't, and that took a toll on him, and he just says enough, which is a very human move. And I love that aspect of her just listening to that tape over and over again. It's
a cool like narrative concept of like having the tape like narrating things. You know, we have the technology to do that today with like voice memos and stuff, but people don't do it as much because it's, you know, I love voice memos. That's why I'm saying it, but because I send voice memos all the time. But I love.
You know what I love? A voiceover as you're reading a letter. And this movie does also that aspect, like the whole thing where she finally finds her mom.
Yeah.
And
that's so harrowing.
It just like, it's a really narrow hallway for them to get in. The camera slowly panning like over the corner. I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
That whole sequence, like, this is the thing. All the stuff in the first
Yeah.
half of the movie, I think I'm on the same side as Jeff.
I feel like that's the latter half, but yeah.
That was probably at the 2/3 mark,
Mhm,
that when
mhm.
she meets her mom.
Yeah.
But like the first 2/3 of the movie, I thought that stuff was all gold. Like
Gold.
me, like the
Sully.
opening
Sully's my new
sequence,
favorite guy. Yeah.
opening sequence, the Sully letting the old woman die, like Michael
Unbelievable.
Stuhlbarg in the woods, and then meeting
Incredible.
Chloe Sevigny, like all that stuff was just like, wow, this movie's like going from strength to strength. Like
Yeah.
they get to Chloe Sevigny, the whole reveal of her in the room is dark, and then she's like,
No
the,
hands.
the nurse saying like, "Oh, time for me to get the letter," and it's like, "Oh, okay, what's going on here?" And then she gets the letter, and then it's like, basically like, I've prepared my whole life for this moment that you are witnessing now in the movie.
Yeah.
And then she like attacks her, and it's like this really, it's both an effectively directed sequence from a like horror, terror perspective, but also
Mhm.
like this idea that which you seek the most,
Yeah.
which is like acceptance and understanding through a parent,
Mhm.
is just not there,
Yeah.
and that's a very potent idea.
It's
Um,
emotional. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on there too. So many layers. Also, the mother is another person who's like everyone. The people we've met have dealt with this ability or this curse in different ways, right? The kids are trying to do what they can to survive. Sully says he's a scavenger. Never quite believed him, and the other guys are just like pure hedonists. They're just like, we're gonna eat
Well, I like
everything.
I like
yeah,
how
different slices,
Yeah,
so to speak.
and she just
of,
like
yeah.
basically she chewed off her own arms so she wouldn't do this to anybody else, and just that idea of self-hatred is powerful.
And that she's been suffering for like
Yeah.
all these years too. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jeff. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I liked how I think Chalamet's description of his first time, even Sully's description of how he discovered it,
Yeah.
and our main character. In each case, there's a parent whose instinct is to protect them,
Yeah.
even though they are this horrible thing, or perceived as
There's
this
something
horrible
beautiful
thing.
in that. Yeah.
Exquisite, and to me that resonated with this notion of this thing that someone is born with this thing, and they are this still someone's child, right? They're still this someone's child, and there's love there, and trying to protect and care, and not understanding and not being able to relate and not being able to deal with that. I found all that stuff exquisite, and it relates to that, this cannibalism as a metaphor for something that is inside us that we don't know how to handle, that society says is wrong and bad.
Yeah.
And I found the movie most effective when viewed through that lens, and that's part of that is why I found all of the gore and sort of gruesomeness to be more off-putting, because I wanted to like these people and root for them, and I could not. I could not,
But
because
people you love sometimes do awful things. I feel like that's, if you have a member of your family who's an addict, like, you will probably encounter some awful things, and you still have to find the love in there. And I found it, that part of it is just very fascinating.
That is the challenge of the movie, though, right?
Yes.
Like, that is the challenge of the movie. Is these people
Can you
who are
love
doing
these murderers?
Yeah, can you who are doing these abhorrent things? Can you still relate to them, or can you still root for them?
Like the guy from the carnival.
The movie's like a challenge. It's like challenging you. Can you do it?
Do you love Timothy Chalamet? How much do you love Timothy Chalamet? That carnival.
Are you willing
guy.
to eat him?
I'm sure some people would be. But that carnival guy sequence was just like, oh, this guy's being a dick to kids. He seems like a good idea there. There's just so much going on there too. And they discover, first of all, there's that sequence where I'm like, oh, is this character also exploring his own sexuality in a way that is kind of interesting to him too? And then they discover that he has a family. And to me, that's like, that's Marin's thing of she's more worried about the cost of it and doesn't quite know how to deal with that. Yeah. It's
and you're right. You see, like Sully, he's like, oh, I wait for people to die, and like they're trying to choose people who don't have families, like, so it's not like they haven't put any thought into it at all. But I think fundamentally they accept that, hey, we need to eat people. Like,
it's the cost of business.
Like they kind of like nonchalantly are like, yep, this is a thing that needs to happen. But yeah, that was a great sequence as well. Another great sequence of the first 2/3 of the movie is like with that whole scene with the carnival person. I thought was really well done.
We have not talked enough about Sully, and I don't want to close this review.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Mark Rylance, dude.
Mark Rylance in his tidy whities, leaning over, face first, just getting entrails, getting skin out. Like, I've always loved this guy, but
here's my big issue with this movie is My big issue with Bones and All is if you do need to consume human flesh, bring a freaking wet nap
A bib.
Bring a
with
wet
you,
nap.
because
Bring
you
a
see people
towel.
like having feasted on human entrails for most of the movie, and they just like leave all this like blood and sticky stuff all around there. It's like
that's part of the
Hey,
fun.
just
It's like
because
eating
you're a
crab.
can-
That's like me and waffles. You
Just
know?
because you're-
I got syrup everywhere, baby.
But
just because
that's
you're a
part of the
cannibal,
experience.
just because you're a cannibal doesn't mean you need to be a slob. Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
feel
That's
like
all I'm
that-
saying.
I feel like that is an essential element of being a cannibal. If
Mhm.
you when you're going to eat crab or something, like I don't know if you guys have go to crab boils or anything, but
Yeah.
oftentimes they will like you sit down, they wrap a bib around you
Yeah.
because they know you're gonna be a slob. And this is a
Yeah.
place where everyone is a slob. Therefore, it is okay if you can become a buttery slob. And
Yeah, it's just like let
Yeah.
your id go crazy,
Yeah,
my
just-
friends.
that's it.
You know?
And Ryland says like I let you see me dry or something
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah,
the
that
blood
means
dried on him.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Mm.
means something.
To her credit, though, there was that one sequence after they eat the dude who has a family. She's just like, I got napkins in the car. You can clean
Yeah,
up. Remember, she
yeah.
does say that. So
Yeah,
she gets on the wet nap train.
She's
Dave.
basically the audience surrogate. She's the only one. She's the only one who has any decent morals. But okay, the movie ends with Mark Rylance finding her and Chalamet, and that's the part. Is like
Horrifying.
they're having
Horrifying
such a
yeah.
they're having such a like lovely domestic life together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm to interpret whatever the movie's trying to say, it's like that basically like these people who have this need are basically cursed, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing they can do to ever
Yeah.
overcome that need and live a happy life.
Yeah.
It's a very sad, depressing story and message.
Mhm.
But it's really well executed, I thought, and it's a terrifying sequence with Rylance like overpowers her.
Great horror movie sequence of like, okay, she knows something's wrong. She sees the bag, sees the hair bag, and he comes out of nowhere.
When if you're on a date and a guy pulls out a hair bag, that's
Mhm.
when
And the
things
fact that like it has the blonde hair from the sister, it's just so messed up.
yeah.
So messed up.
But okay, Jeff, you're a big Rylance fan.
I am.
So
I hated the end. I was like, come
Rylance
on.
was great in Bridge of Spies, in my opinion. I did not enjoy his work in Don't
Ready
Look
Player
Up.
One.
In Don't Look Up or Ready Player One, but I
Yeah.
thought he was pretty solid in this movie.
He's great.
Just as kind of a
So
creepy like incel kind of guy, right? Basically,
I guess.
Anybody who
Okay.
refers to themselves, in the third person, I think is just
yeah.
inherently creepy.
David doesn't like that. David
Yeah.
doesn't like that.
He's had a hard
Yeah.
life, Sully.
Yeah,
You know, he's been alone a long, long time.
His teeth, like early on when you see his teeth, just like the construction of this character and his look and his getup and
how
everything
he
is
moves,
just
how he talks,
Yeah.
all of it.
it's great.
Like that
Great
weird
theater work.
walk that he employs, like it's all so good, so well crafted. I mean, that's not how Mark Rylance moves.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
I just watched him in a movie. I don't think you guys saw the one where he's the makes the clothes. Just saw it this year.
Yeah. The Recruit. No, not The Recruit. The Outfit.
The Outfit.
Outfit,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. And he's like the most refined English gentleman in that. Like, his ramrod straight posture and just everything is refined. Everything is perfect. And here he is, this complete. It's so great. It's just he's amazing. But you know what nobody's talking about in this movie?
What, Jeff?
So, Call Me by Your Name has Army Hammer in it.
Yep.
And isn't the reason that we all don't like Army Hammer because he eats people?
No, he's done other bad things. as well,
He's
too.
done very
Yeah.
gross
But like,
other
and the
things. But that's
filmmaker
one
who
thing. That's like one element of the Army Hammer sandwich.
the
of,
guy
of
who
bad
worked
shit.
with Army Hammer
Yep.
goes on to make a movie about eating people. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I can't believe we have to end the review on this.
It's ruined.
Okay, the final shot of the movie. Pretty interesting. Pretty cool shot. Pretty cool idea. This kind of wistful pushing into the shot of the two of them half naked on this hill, alive. Yeah, and kind of like
flashing back to an ideal moment when things were good.
It's kind of I kind of can dig a good closing shot that's very mood setting as opposed to storytelling, right? Like,
I think that's why we are meant to think that this was a transcendental love.
Exactly. It's because of that last shot. It's because of that last shot. Yeah,
Mhm.
which may or may not have fully achieved for us. It got some of the way there, for me,
Mhm.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, the love is so heartbreaking.
I mean, I wanted them to be
yeah.
good. I wanted them to be okay at the when they like,
Yeah.
oh, let's quit this whole going across the country murdering people thing. Honestly, what this movie reminded me of, Natural Born Killers.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the closest that I've ever seen to this movie. But anyway, like let's abandon our going across the country murdering people thing and just settle down.
Yeah.
Boil up some livers and pretend they're human.
Buy some
Mhm.
offal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 and then, you root for them, and then of course,
Yeah.
I do want to shout out
violence.
2 other people. Andre Holland plays her father, and I think does a great job, especially in that tape voiceover. The guy in the overalls, by the way, is director David Gordon Green.
Yes.
Director of the Halloween
David
movies. So it's
Gordon Green.
Okay. Just
With
love
the
everybody
Halloween
popping up in
movies.
this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, folks. Andre Holland, he was in Moonlight, right? He was
Yes.
the guy in
Yep.
the diner in Moonlight,
Yep.
right? Yeah, amazing. All right, folks. Well, I think overall we like the movie here on the podcast. And at the end of the day, it's really impressive that Luca Guadagnino made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.